No, 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 no. Don't hit me, please. Don't hit me, please. Get in the boat. Great idea. Hey everyone, how are we doing? And welcome to this super special PC build. I'm joined by Mr. James from Geekawhat, because you guys have been asking for this little collab for ages. It is finally happening. This PC not only looks incredible, but it's going to absolutely boss it when it comes to performance. We've got some super high-end stuff in here, but because Be Quiet reached out and wanted to sponsor this video, this is actually all about silence, because no one wants a build that makes a load of noise. Wait a minute, you're closer to the camera here.
Yeah, well, that's because the camera's there and
I'm being shafted. All right, you talk us through it, Mr. Special then.
So this is MSI Z490 carbon board. We've got Wi-Fi built in, a snazzy built-in I/O shield, and supports overclocking for our CPU as well.
I picked this one mainly just because it's not a budget board, but it's got all of the features you need without paying for things that you're not going to use, basically. The chip that we're pairing it with is a Core i5 10600K, so this is a 6-core chip. So if you're going to be doing loads of things on your PC, then by all means have a look at a Ryzen or a more expensive Intel CPU that has more cores. But for gaming, this is literally all the CPU you're going to need, and if you do overclock it later, you're going to get, well, maximum frame rates, I guess, if you're pairing it with a high-end GPU, so good for high refresh rate monitors and all of that stuff. So this is what our motherboard actually looks like. It's a pretty clean motherboard, actually. I think a lot of them these days sort of operate on a pretty, like, I don't know, similar color scheme. This is all sort of like jet black, and you can customize it with RGB and all of that good stuff, but we have a back plate actually fully fitted. Don't need to insert that later. We've got USB-C, loads of USB, and then as you mentioned earlier, James, we have Wi-Fi on this board as well.
Which is really, really helpful. I get people who don't know about your channel all the time going, does it have Wi-Fi built in? And you're like, no, you need to buy this, but this out the box is going to cover you nicely.
To actually install our CPU, simply line up this very small gold arrow with the little marking on the motherboard. Requires no force whatsoever, and should just drop down into place.
Don't throw it away. People go mental at me for that.
Now, we do indeed have some memory, random access, no less, for this particular system. This is actually some memory from Patriot. It's super fast. I've never really gone this fast before. 4,133 megahertz. So we'll see if this makes any real difference to system performance. I'll typically go for 3600, but this is RGB memory. It's jet black, fits in with the theme perfectly, and we've got 16 gigabytes because for a gaming PC, that is all you need. For some reason, I lent
No, it's not going to go there. No. Over here, slots 2 and slots 4. Do you know how I check?
I don't want.
Just pull that.
And this is where Be Quiet comes in handy, because having something that is going to actually allow you to overclock a little bit and keep very cool and quiet as well is pretty much what you're aiming for, really. So this is going to sit right on top of our motherboard just like this, but obviously we do need to mount it down so that it doesn't move. I like this because it sort of hits that sweet spot between a larger cooler, but then one that isn't too big, right? And isn't going to restrict you with things like RAM or anything like that, really.
Right, question. Why have you used a motherboard standoff and not an M.2 screw to hold your M.2 shield down?
Because I couldn't find it, I lost it. So if you turn our motherboard over for us, please, I will place this down so that the screws go through the hole. We can then screw down with our standoffs. You will get some thermal paste inside the box, so give yourself a fair old dab. The fun bit is just lowering this down.
Careful.
So that it goes onto our CPU. And then secure that down, and that is installing the CPU cooler.
That was quite easy, I'll give you that. It was quite easy.
James has gone again. I'm getting the feeling he doesn't like me. Don't forget to put your fan on though. Fans don't leave you. Wait a minute.
It's not in frame.
Here it is. I'm blurring. Mate, I'm gonna use the
Are you legit gonna blur that out?
I'm gonna blur that out.
We'll move it now then.
Alright, I'll tell you what. It's been in the video up until now.
That was not my, that was
Ready?
you that moved it there.
Gone.
You moved it there.
It's gone.
You put it there.
But it's gone.
You put it there in the first place.
It's almost time to actually put this in our case, but first thing we should do is drop in our SSD. Here we're going for NVMe because, as you guys quite rightly point out, it's not really that much more expensive these days, and it does make a big difference. This one I've used countless times. It's very reliable. It's excellent. It's the 970 Evo Plus from Samsung. You'd make a good hand model, wouldn't you?
I would.
just 2 simple screws to remove. There is quite often a little heat sink as well, like we have here. That will keep the temperatures of your SSD under check. With the side panels off, it's actually time to talk about this case. This is the Dark Base 700. I have actually built on this before. We did like a special edition white build, ironically with yourself, James.
Yes, check that out in the card section.
In the card at the top right hand corner, but this time we're going for the stock black one, which is pretty much all entirely metal construction. You get very good fans here. We've got Silent Wings 3. The front panel, you've got RGB on the front as well, but it's pretty much all about being able to accommodate all of the hardware that you're going to want to put in now or upgrade to later in the future as well. Lay your case down flat and then insert the motherboard. If your IO shield isn't attached like it is on this case, make sure you put this in the large gaping hole at the back of your case. Jesus Christ, man. Don't damage the desk, he told me.
Be Quiet also sent over these Silent Wings 3 fans. They're super quiet, as you can imagine, and at 1000 RPM, they're going to be a great fit for today's build.
Remove the front of the case to access the fans. You have this little dust filter here as well. Remove that for now. And then just line up the fans really with the position you want them, I guess. Drop a load of screws on the floor in the process. Always helps. Let's go for the graphics card now. We're using a RTX 2070 Super Strix Edition. The reason we're using this is just because the Strix cards are pretty much the most quiet that I've come across to date. I know it gets a little bit close, but never been disappointed with these. They are a little bit more expensive.
Sorry.
You should be.
We are both expecting Ampere to be here out really, really soon. Neither of us know anything officially, but it might be worth waiting to either pick this card up nice and cheap, or a more powerful Ampere card when they do arrive.
This is brand new, look, so we have a peel. Ready?
Shh. I mean, if they don't subscribe for that, then there's no hope.
I mean, there is. Just line this up with the slots.
Wait for it. Oh, beautiful.
Push that in, get that satisfying click action, and then screw it back down. I said screw it back down. We do need to get the power supply in, but first it's probably worth talking about all of these other cables as well. We've got things like the I/O to connect, USB. There is actually USB 3.1 on the front of this case as well to connect. But one of the things that you get with the Dark Base 700 is this little fan controller. So if you're using a cheaper motherboard or you just want to be able to control all of your fans separately without software actually, which is pretty cool, you can do so with this, or you hook it up to your motherboard as well and control it with software. It's entirely up to you.
Do you know what, Marcus?
What?
That's pretty cool.
So let's unwrap this little bundle of joy. That's what most people call children, and I'm talking about my case cables, James. Oh, look at this little bundle of joy. Last 2 pieces of the puzzle are some RGB strips to make this look a little bit more blingy. And then we have our Straight Power 11, 650 watts power supply. Don't even need to look at the box. I've used this many times before. I'm not looking, James.
It's platinum. It's 80 plus platinum.
650 watts of power is plenty for any single GPU system, really, unless you're going to be doing stupid overclocking with a really high-end CPU. But for this, it's perfect. I always like to put in the cables first, as it's then a little bit easier to thread through. So here we're using ATX, PCIe, 1 SATA and our CPU. But then just gently place this inside and screw it from the back. This is one of those cases that you can actually invert as well. So if you do want to have something that looks a little bit different, you can actually turn the whole thing upside down, which will make your PC look a little bit more quirky, and in theory should actually give you slightly better thermals, but I think it depends on the exact configuration that you go for. Then just feed all of the cables through to the other side. So here we have our ATX. This will go at this big hole here. We have our 8-pin CPU at the top. Don't worry if you have like an 8 plus a 4 as well. You only need to use the 8 unless you're doing some serious overclocking. Graphics card connects down here, and then any other accessories with SATA and stuff would connect around the back. And with the RGB strip carefully positioned at the top of the case, is a tiny bit fiddly here, but did get it done in the end. We're now done and ready to actually test this. Do we have a monitor?
No, but I have a power cable.
Get me a monitor. Please, get us a monitor. Sorry, it's not about me, is it?
It's all about you.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Are we ready? Have we checked everything?
I can't hear it.
Well, the RGB's lit up, so that's a good sign.
Is the RGB strip on? Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, it's gone off.
No, that's all good. That's all good. Sometimes you do get a little bit of power cycling with these things. It's normal, as long as it doesn't keep doing it. Hey! Oh no, I've jumped the gun.
That's the monitor, not the motherboard.
No, there we go. Hooray!
Oh, wait.
Welcome to Windows.
What's your password, Marcus?
0000.
Mine's 0001.
Oh, that's good. So here we are then, Gears of War, Ultra settings, 1440p, and just look at those frame rates, around about 120 to 130 frames a second. This is super, super smooth. There's not really any more I think you'd want. I mean, I can actually put this down to 1080p, but there wouldn't be any point unless you're wanting to play at 240 hertz or something like that. This is super smooth. Let's really push this PC to the test though and try 4K resolution, and you can see it's really able to handle it. We're getting, what's this, 75 frames a second or so. So if you're playing on a 60 hertz 4K monitor, you're going to be able to get the most out of it. You're just gonna have to be a better gamer than me, clearly. Look at this though, 4K resolution, Far Cry 5. Like seriously, look at this. 60 frames a second. It's just beautiful. This is one of the best looking games I think on the PC at the moment. Should we throw a grenade?
Go on. Add it off.
I don't. Do I have a grenade?
That's not
I've forgotten the buttons. I've forgotten the buttons. Maybe I just don't have any. Oh no, I do. It's this. If you do drop it down to 1440p though, you are going to see a huge upgrade in terms of frame rate, because we're now looking at, what's that, 110, 115 frames a second. Like clearly you don't need much more than a 2070 Super, I think, for most PC games. Like, you're not gonna actually see that much benefit unless you're really pushing your PC to the max. So here we are then, dropping into Fortnite. This is 1440p epic settings, and you can see we're getting around about 120 frames a second or so. See if we can actually get some kills. Probably not, but it's worth a go, isn't it?
That.
Yes! In there, boys! Thank you. Let's try 4K resolution as we're getting a little bit more dramatic. You can see we're getting just under 60 frames a second. So what I would do in this situation is drop it down to high settings, leave the resolution at max, and then instantly you're getting around about 75, 80 frames a second, and there's not that much difference in terms of visuals, and you're able to fully enjoy the experience. No, don't hit me please, don't hit me please! Get in the boat. Great idea. It's a joke. She could have shot someone else as well. Why do you ever get me? We're done with this. Right, we're back. 100 frames a second. Oh yeah, 1440p. Looking sharp. I mean, that was always going to happen, wasn't it? Dropping it down to 1080p, and we're getting around about 145 frames a second or so. I've only got a Mozambique. This is not going well. I mean, this is when the game's not fun. So then, this has been the gaming PC, and I absolutely love this system, not only because it's capable of 1440p and 4K gaming, I was really impressed by that one actually, but because it really is the most quiet, silent PC I think you can build. If you do want to check out current pricing on any of the components, learn a little bit more, you can with my Amazon affiliate links listed down below. But it looks like we also have another PC on the other side of the desk. What's that all about, James?
So this is a more budget-oriented, but still whisper quiet gaming PC build. We've got a 5600 XT and lots of other things, but you'll have to go and look at the video on my channel to get all the details.
2 builds, 2 systems, 2 ideas for you, so check them both out. Do get subscribed to Mr. Geekawhat, makes excellent PC build videos as well. You get to see the studio more. But thank you so much for checking out this video. Really hope you've enjoyed it. Please hit that like button if you have. Obviously do get subscribed to Mr. James Geekawhat, and of course myself, Mr. PC Centric. I know, right? Big name on campus. Thank you so much though, really hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one.